Welcome to this edition of Head to Head. I'm your host, Cam McKinney, and this is episode number 392 of the podcast. And on this episode, I'm talking about Sonny Gray being traded to the Red Sox and Dylan Cease signing with the Blue Jays. It hasn't been a super busy offseason so far in Major League Baseball, but this past week, two pitchers headed to the AL East, and they are Sonny Gray, who was traded to the Boston Red Sox, and Dylan Cease, who signed a 7-year, $215 million deal with the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's start by talking about Sonny Gray. I was a tad surprised by some of the negative reactions I saw about this move. Red Sox fans want them to bring in star power this offseason, and while Gray may lack that, he's still more than a decent pitcher. Last year, with a bad St. Louis Cardinals team, he went 14-8 with a 4.28 ERA and struck over 200 batters for a second year in a row. By most modern standards, he's a workhorse. The last 3 seasons, Gray has thrown 184, 166, and 180 innings respectively. He's also a 3-time All-Star. So what's the pushback? Well, he is 36 years old and most expect a drop-off in the near future. That part of this deal does not concern me. You're not giving him a long-term deal. He's basically a 1-year rental. The legitimate concern I have is him pitching in a big market like Boston. Sonny Gray has thrived in Oakland, Minnesota, Cincinnati, and St. Louis, but had a career worst stretch with the New York Yankees, where he went 15-16 with a 4.51 ERA. New York and Boston is a different kind of market because the fans and media care like absolutely no one else. There seem to be a lot of Red Sox fans out there who are upset by the idea of Sonny Gray becoming the number 2 starter. Most teams do not have 2 aces. You already have Garrett Crochet. Why do you need a legitimate number 1 guy? Yes, as a fan of the team, I would absolutely love for them to trade for Tariq Skubal. I don't believe that's going to happen, and I don't necessarily think that needs to happen. You already have your ace. You already have your big game pitcher. I don't think you need that much better of a number 2 starter. You already have Sonny Gray. You have Brian Bayo. Those are 2 reliable guys who throw a lot of innings behind Garrett Crochet. That's all you need in modern baseball. 1 great pitcher can help you win it all. The Dodgers won the World Series because of Yamamoto. You have your ace. You just need the other 4 starters in the rotation to be reliable and throw innings. That's what you need from them. You don't need another guy who's competing to win a Cy Young. And the other 2 guys you do have, Sonny Gray and Brian Bayo, are capable of being all-star pitchers in the American League next season. And I know fans don't care about this kind of thing, but the Red Sox are not going to sign or trade for a starting pitcher and then give him more money than Garrett Crochet, the guy they just locked up long term. I mean, the idea with them signing him is he's probably going to be their highest paid starting pitcher for a long time. They're not going to go out and give another starting pitcher to be their number 2 starter more money than their number 1 starter. I mean, just logically think about it for a minute. Last year, when the Red Sox were playing their best baseball, they had a 3-man rotation of Garrett Crochet, Brian Bayo, and Lucas Giolito, and now they're replacing Giolito with Sonny Gray. I do wonder if the Red Sox are a better team right now with just this addition. Is Sonny Gray better than Lucas Giolito? I believe, obviously, overall, the answer is yes. but Giolito has proven he can pitch in Boston, and Sonny Gray needs to prove that to me. Let's talk about Dylan Cease going to the Blue Jays. So on paper, it may look weird to see a guy with an 8-12 record last year getting a $210 million deal. But why that is the case for Dylan Cease is because this pitcher has had 200 plus strikeouts each of the last 5 seasons. He's also made 32 plus starts each of those 5 seasons. He's made 162 starts since 2021 and has 1,106 strikeouts, both most in the majors in that time span. I like this deal because this is a pitcher who is still not yet 30 years old. I believe Cease's best years are ahead of him and believe he's capable of being an ace of a team. The last few years, he's just always been in trade rumors. When he was with the White Sox and the Padres, there were always rumors about him being traded. Now it just becomes about the numbers. He gets to be with one team for a long period of time, and he's joining a team in the Toronto Blue Jays that just made a World Series appearance. What's interesting about this deal is the Blue Jays are adding to a strength in their starting rotation. I mean, they have Kevin Gausman, a guy who really is a legitimate ace, but the idea is that his contract is running out, and when he leaves the team, Dylan Cease is going to fill that void left at that number 1 spot, that he is going to become the team's ace after Gausman leaves. Jose Barrios, who knows what they're going to do with him? He was not a part of their playoff run. I guess what I'm wondering here is this going to be the biggest move the Blue Jays make this offseason, or are they really going to go all in and get a guy like Kyle Tucker to pair with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and make that offense even better than it already is? Because it feels like in the Blue Jays are definitely acting like the AL East is going to be theirs for the next few years, and they're going to take advantage of this moment. They're going to spend a lot of money. They've re-signed Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Who knows if they're going to bring back star infielder Bo Bichette, but if they don't, I would expect them to bring in a replacement bat. What I like about this move is adding Dylan Cease to ultimately replace Kevin Gausman, and then you could bring in Kyle Tucker to be the replacement for George Springer, who is nearing the end of his deal. I mean, you can help yourself right now, but also help yourself in the future, which is what the Dylan Cease move does. The Blue Jays are a better team right now, and they have a guy who can be their legitimate number 1 starter for each of the next 7 years. So when I see the Boston Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays making moves, I immediately think to myself, how are the New York Yankees going to react? Because the Yankees had an interesting year. I mean, Aaron Judge won another MVP, and they were a playoff team, but no one ever thought they were going to win the World Series, and now they have an interesting opportunity to improve their team this offseason, but who knows in what ways they're going to go about it. Yes, Cody Bellinger is a free agent, but you don't want their entire offseason to be about bringing him back. There's been talks about bringing in Edwin Diaz and him going from the Mets to the Yankees. That's an interesting move. I mean, their bullpen really did struggle at times last year, especially Devin Williams, who is currently a free agent. I, as of right now, do not think there are that many moves the Yankees could make that would have me believe that they are the best team in the AL East. Right now, I give the title to the Toronto Blue Jays, obviously because they're coming off a trip to the World Series and they just added Dylan Cease, the best pitcher on the market, who also happens to be the most reliable starting pitcher on the free agent market. I mean, the guy doesn't miss starts. That's the other thing about the Sonny Gray edition as well. That's what I want in starting pitchers in 2025. A lot of them are amazing. A lot of them strike out a lot of batters, but not everybody makes 30 starts a year. And both of these guys do that year in and year out. I think this is worth bringing up. Last offseason, the first move that Craig Breslow made was to bring in Aroldis Chapman, and a bunch of Red Sox fans were confused by that move. And then Aroldis Chapman had one of the best seasons I've ever seen a reliever have. Maybe he's about to do that again with Sonny Gray, because a lot of people are questioning what this move is about. You promise us a number 2 starting pitcher and you give us Sonny Gray. I heard somebody say, well, they're only giving him $21 million and they paid Walker Buehler $20 last year. I mean, that's not a good argument. The Walker Buehler experiment did not work out in Boston. In defense of Sonny Gray, he's been a far more consistent starting pitcher than Walker Buehler. I just have to keep going back to this idea that I don't know how Sonny Gray is going to handle every one of his starts being treated like it's a big deal, because that hasn't been the case the last few years. I mean, St. Louis is a good baseball market, but the team hasn't been very good the last couple of seasons, and there haven't been high expectations. I mean, Red Sox fans think the Red Sox are about to do big things. Roman Anthony is coming back off of injury. I mean, they believe they have a World Series contender on their hands. And I highly doubt this is going to be the case, but if the biggest name they bring in this offseason is Sonny Gray, Red Sox fans are going to absolutely lose their minds. There's a real parallel with what's going on with both of these teams. Both of them have big free agents of their own. I mean, Bo Bichette had a big World Series moment. He had a free-run home run. Now he's a free agent. He's one of their best offensive players. Alex Bregman was the big addition for the Red Sox last offseason, and now he's a free agent again, and nobody knows if he's going to go back to Boston. Yet the first move the Red Sox made was to bring in Sonny Gray, and the Blue Jays' first move was to spend a boatload of money on Dylan Cease. And let me be clear, I like both of these moves, but I'm still left wondering what exactly is the backup plan if those two players walk away to another team. What are the Blue Jays going to do without Bo Bichette? What would the Red Sox game plan be if Alex Bregman doesn't come back? It just pains me to say this as a fan of the Red Sox. I just currently have more faith in the Blue Jays that they're going to spend money even if they lose Bo Bichette. I mean, this is a team that last offseason paid a lot of money for Anthony Santander, and he basically did nothing for them all year long. And then here they come in giving $210 million to Dylan Cease out of nowhere. The Blue Jays want to be big spenders. I don't know if that's the case for the Boston Red Sox. I think they loved the Alex Bregman situation because it was a shorter term deal. Well, what are they going to do if he comes back to them this offseason and says, give me a 5-year deal? I don't necessarily think they're going to give him that. I could be proven wrong, but I don't think they want to give an offensive player like that a super long-term deal. I don't see them being in on Kyle Tucker either. I think the pivot for the Red Sox would be to bring in a bat like Pete Alonso on a shorter-term deal, like a 3-year deal where you pay him a lot of money. I think that's what they want. I think the days of them giving a 30-plus-year-old a 6 or 7-year deal is long gone, because they've been burnt by that in the past, and they're still thinking about those failures. And I know Red Sox fans don't want to hear this, but I think they're going to be heavily relying on the younger players, the Marcelo Myerses of the world, the Roman Anthonys. That's their future. That's what they're excited about. Whereas if you're the Blue Jays, you're thinking about the here and now. You're you're looking at the American League and going, we have a real chance to be the best team in this league for years to come, because the Tigers might lose Skubal and the rest of the league is not that impressive. We're better than the Yankees already. We're better than the Red Sox already. As of this moment, when we're talking about the Toronto Blue Jays, I think we're talking about the best team in the American League. Getting back to the Red Sox, I just think fans are hung up on this idea that because they traded Rafael Devers away to the San Francisco Giants, that leaves money for them to spend immediately. I don't know if that's the case. Maybe it is going to be the case for Alex Bregman. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe now that Devers is gone, they'll be more willing to give him 5 or 6 years to keep him on the team and to be the team leader. I know that's what Red Sox fans want, but I'm really going to be interested to see what the reaction would be if he joins another team. Just last offseason, there were whispers of Bregman potentially joining the Toronto Blue Jays. Maybe he looks at it and goes, this is the better team in the AL East, and they're willing to give me a lot more money. What's so great about the baseball offseason is, yes, absolutely, I'll give all the credit in the world for the Blue Jays spending this kind of money on one player in Dylan Cease. And yes, it feels like a way bigger move than the Red Sox bringing in Sonny Gray, but there is a world where Sonny Gray is a better fit on the Red Sox than Dylan Cease is on the Toronto Blue Jays, because these are two starting pitchers who are joining new teams. I know what the back of the baseball cards say, that they're both really good pitchers, but you just don't know what you're going to get out of them. I think both moves are going to pan out. I think Sonny Gray is going to be very good for the Red Sox. I think he's going to get double-digit wins. I think he's going to pitch 150 plus innings. He's going to be exactly what they want him to be. And I think Dylan Cease is going to become the ace of the Toronto Blue Jays. So now that Dylan Cease and Sonny Gray are off the market, who are the other big pitchers available? I mean, as free agents, you have Framber Valdez and Ranger Suarez. I don't see them getting bigger contracts than Dylan Cease, and I like Framber Valdez, but he has up and down seasons. I do want to get into trade options because I look at what's going on with the Texas Rangers, and I have to believe that Jacob deGrom is possibly available in a big trade. Now, that is a guy I would go out and get. He just won AL Comeback Player of the Year. If I were the Yankees or somebody like that, that's the kind of big name pitcher I would want on my roster. I would also add Nathan Eovaldi to that conversation as well. Just a big game pitcher, a guy who's been a World Series hero for the Red Sox in the past. Right now, I don't think that Joe Ryan is going to be traded. Mackenzie Gore is an interesting name, but he doesn't really get me all that excited. Freddie Peralta is a name that everybody brings up because he's going to be a free agent next offseason, and the Brewers are that kind of team that doesn't usually pay a guy like that a lot of money. Why the Blue Jays and Red Sox were so eager to make these moves? Because they got guys who are super reliable. You know what you're going to get out of them. Yes, there's a chance that the Red Sox get the Yankee version of Sonny Gray. Even that guy throws a lot of innings and makes all of his starts. And for Dylan Cease, you know you're going to get 32 plus starts and 200 strikeouts. And you're adding to a rotation that already has Kevin Gausman, Chris Bassett. I get a sense that Blue Jay fans are way more on board with them bringing in Dylan Cease than Red Sox fans are about Sonny Gray. But I think both fan bases are in agreement that they want this to be the beginning of a big offseason for both of these franchises and not the end. They don't want this to be the one big move that either team makes. I mean, Blue Jay fans want Kyle Tucker. Red Sox fans want them to bring back Alex Bregman. These were two surprising moves that came out of nowhere. Nobody linked Sonny Gray to even being available, and then all of a sudden he was on the ball Boston Red Sox, and I didn't hear anybody connecting Dylan Cease to the Blue Jays, and then out of nowhere they give him $210 million. As I stated earlier, I am a fan of the Boston Red Sox, so I have to watch a lot of games involving these teams in the AL East. So I absolutely love it when new talent joins the division. I want to see Sonny Gray with the Red Sox, and now I want to see how Dylan Cease pitches with the Toronto Blue Jays. I'll be monitoring both very closely. I think the Red Sox are going to get a bigger name than Sonny Gray, who's going to be a bat, but I don't think they're going to get a bigger named starting pitcher this offseason than Sonny Gray, and I think the same goes for the Blue Jays. I think they're either going to bring back Bo Bichette or bring in another big bat, but their big name pitcher is obviously Dylan Cease. And for that reason, and because of all the talent on that roster, it's hard not to think the Blue Jays don't own the American League East. Thanks for listening to this edition of Head to Head. I'm Cam McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Monday on Apple Podcast and Spotify, so please rate, review, and subscribe.